I'm Holly.
And I'm Bridget.
And this
is Girls Next Level.
Welcome back to Girls Next Level, everybody. We are back and we're ready to talk about our season 2 finale, which I can't believe we've been doing this podcast for 2 years. Thank you guys so much for coming along this ride with us. It's been so fun and rewarding for us and such a great place for us to get our bargain therapy.
I was just going to say, it's been so much like therapy that I didn't even know I needed or wanted.
Exactly.
But I'm loving it.
Me too.
I was just going to say, I think that that I didn't even know I needed it, but I want it. Like, I like it. Like, I enjoy it.
Me too. It's definitely been a journey and we've got a long way to go.
And what a weird roller coaster too, because like I was super excited when we first started and then it got like traumatic right away for me and I wanted to throw in the towel immediately and then it got so much better.
Totally. I totally know what you mean.
And you told me it would.
Yeah. I knew it would get better. Also, before we get into the episode, I feel like we need a little beef recap this week because it's been an eventful week. So first of all, somebody sent me like an Instagram reel of somebody talking shit about us and Kendra on a podcast way back in January. And when this guy tells this story, which is like a complete bullshit story, he starts it off with, "Oh, I've got something for you. And this might even go viral." So we know why he's doing it. Total clout chaser. But the irony is no one was talking about this. Like I'm only just now hearing about it, but we go off on this on Patreon. So you might want to listen.
Yeah. And you know what? One of the things I say on Patreon is that this came out of nowhere. And I feel like every time these kinds of things happen, they do come out of nowhere. Like the hairdresser person way back in the day. And then the Crystal rant out of nowhere. This was way before her book came out or anything like that. Out of nowhere. And now this, and I feel like it's out of nowhere. So I just have to realize that these things do just come out of nowhere and stop saying that over and over. Like, where did this come from?
No, it is random. And the other beef recap is last week we had our interview with Chaya Hefner, which you guys loved. And I'm so overwhelmed with all like the positive reaction. Like I knew her interview was good. Like I knew it was touching. I felt like she was very real. I felt like she was very honest about her situation and how her and Keith got together. And it was just and she's funny, but still I'm like blown away by how much you guys connected with it.
Yeah, it really resonated with a lot of people and they really could feel her empathy and her relationship with Keith and understand it. And they really, really liked her and felt she was very genuine.
But somebody didn't like it.
Of course.
So Miss Crystal, sender of cease and desists, decides to, on her Instagram story after the Chaya interview comes out, just eviscerate Chaya in this like text post. Like she wrote this whole thing out and posted it on her story. And it was crazy to me because like if anybody wants to respond to like anything that might be said about them or insinuated about them, I totally get it. Like I respond to everything said about me that I think is like needs clearing up, like we're doing on our Patreon this week, example. But it wasn't that. It was just like her tearing Chaya to shreds in every low blow possible way you could. And the craziest thing about it is she sent us, as I'm sure you guys know, a cease and desist for our interview with Marston Hefner. She sent him a cease and desist. In the cease and desist, she listed out like what she's accusing us of saying or insinuating. But then she's saying those exact same things about Chaya, but not even coming from a place of, I heard this, or this is my opinion, or this is what I think. She's just laying out all this shit as if it's fact. And look, I wasn't with Chaya every moment of her life. I don't know what's going on, but she lays it out as if it's just a fact. She's the be all, end all, omniscient narrator of the world. And I'm like, can you not see how hypocritical this is? Blown away.
I'm blown away too, because if anyone deserves a cease and desist, it's her from Chaya.
Right? I can't. So there's a lot going on. And also, when we get into this Vegas episode, I have to warn you guys that at the top of this episode, I'm a little scattered because we recorded this during the era where I'm getting used to my thyroid medication and I'm all over the place.
I was like, I think we need to just start over. And Holly's like, no, let's just go with it.
And I'm like, I like the vibe. So, without further ado, let's get into the Vegas episode.
All right.
Welcome back to Girls Next Level, everybody. We are, if you're watching the video version of this on our YouTube or Patreon, we're kind of like cosplaying what we wore on the show a little bit. I don't have any of the outfits from this show. I didn't save any of them. So I just wore a leopard dress in homage to the leopard dress that I wear. And you have your ears and cuffs and collar from your swimsuit.
Yes, and I brought the whole swimsuit too, but I mean,
Obviously,
I'm wearing.
You don't want to sit here in a swimsuit.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here in a bikini, but I am wearing the bikini top.
I love it. In real life, when we went on this trip, there was a whole other day in Vegas that they don't include on the show at all. We went to Crazy Horse Paris at the MGM. We ate at Nove, the Italian restaurant, at the Palms at the time. And I wore the Bob Mackie Playmate of the Year dress that day. But other than that dress, the rest of my wardrobe for this trip was incredibly lackluster, which is kind of a big deal to me because I felt like at the mansion, clothes were like something that gave me joy and like a way for me to express myself. So it's kind of a downer that I didn't really put much thought into my outfits for this trip. And I feel like this trip is not a downer for me. Like it wasn't a bad trip by any means. But as we get into the episode, I can see things where I felt like there were some lack of expectations or expectations not met and things like that. And for the Playboy Club opening, it like was a little anticlimactic. Not bad, but I felt like the trip we were out there when I did the bunny fashion show was way more energetic and a bigger deal and more visual than the actual club opening, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, my whole motif I see in this, besides my first outfit, which was just sort of casual getting there, is all bunny themed.
Yes.
So I wear
That's cute, yeah.
this, and then I also, for the actual lighting ceremony and stuff, I made like bunny shoes. Like they were black heels with like a little bunny tail on the back.
Yeah, it was
but
cute.
I just made those, and then I wore a black dress, and then I wore the collar with the black bow tie.
Yeah.
So yeah, my whole theme was bunny, bringing the bunny back.
I wish I would have been more themed with my outfits that weekend because I think it would have obviously been more visual for the show and would have been a more fun trip for me if I had done that. And
yeah.
I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, I think we were busy.
Yeah. So this is our season 2 finale. It is called Playboys After Dark. It is our 4th Vegas episode. And out of all the Vegas episodes, it's my least favorite one, probably. Not because it's bad, but it's just not like amazing.
Well, when I look back on this trip, I think of it in positive ways. I think it was fun. Everything was good. But when I watched this episode back, I thought, lackluster.
Yes.
It's missing something. There's like a boring element to this. And I just thought, this is the best we're going to do for this? Like it seems, and we're hyping it up.
Yeah.
But the energy is not there.
It's not there. And I think that has to do with the fact that we weren't really given anything to do on this trip. Like you get to do a cool thing, which is interview people for extra, which is like important for like your demo reel and your career and stuff. But there wasn't like a big cool event any of us got to be part of, which usually as a Hef girlfriend is kind of par for the course. Like how many trips did we do with Hef where we had absolutely nothing to do? Think back to like the 50th anniversary trips and stuff. It was just cool to do the trip. But our expectations are a little different now in the Girls Next Door era. We're expecting something to do.
Yeah.
And this is the most, you're right, lackluster out of the Vegas trips. Like when we go for Carmela's birthday, that's so early on in the series. We're in a mad rush to get there, a mad rush to get back. It's like everything's novel because the show is new. And when we did Kendra's 21st birthday, like even though I did get to stay, like even bowling myself down the bowling alley was more exciting than anything that happens in this episode.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the episode where we go and we do like the bunny fashion show and stuff like that. And that's big and visual because it was in their big nightclub with like pyrotechnics and a ton of people there.
Yeah.
And then this episode leaves a little to be desired, I feel.
And it's strange because it's the season finale.
It's Vegas, and we love Vegas.
Yeah.
It's the bunny at the club. And I feel like I just identified so much with, like, the bunny costume and anything bunny. There should have been something to do, and there just wasn't.
Yeah. I feel like it had all the potential there, but something's missing.
Yeah, and I think it's, again, because they didn't really give us anything to do. And
yeah.
And I know I was trying to get something going because I can tell by my vibe in this episode that my expectations are already not being hit before we've even left. So this episode, it's the season 2, episode 16. It's the season finale. It's all about the Playboy Club opening at the Palms. It aired November 19th, 2006.
Okay.
But we filmed it on October 6th, 2006. That's when the club opening. That's also Miss Treese Baker's birthday, Victoria's baby.
Yeah, it's crazy because I was going through my scrapbooks and I pull out like the invitation and stuff like that, and then I pull out baby pictures of John and Victoria and stuff at the hospital and this newborn baby, and I was like, holy shit! I didn't even remember that Treese was born on the day that we were shooting this episode in Vegas. So we weren't even there when that happened. Not that we needed to be there, but like we weren't there.
Also, do you have the itinerary with you? Because I'm
do.
curious what day was what. Because you don't see our other Vegas day on the show, but I'm like, what day did we go to Crazy Horse versus what day was the club opening?
And here's what we did on those days.
Yes, refresh my memory before we even go into this, because I had questions watching this episode.
So, Friday, October 6th, we leave. At noon, we have to have our luggage out in the Great Hall. 1 o'clock, we depart. Well, and we get to the Van Nuys Airport at 2. We arrive in Vegas at 3. At 3:30, we arrive at the Palms Hotel, and we get a tour of the Sky Villa with the film crew. At 5 p.m., Hef and the girls go to dinner at 24/7. That's such a low-key restaurant for us to go to dinner at.
24/7? The cafe?
Yeah. I remember us eating there, too. I remember getting Chinese food in there.
Do you remember the big sundaes we used to get there?
No.
Big ice cream sundaes.
Shoot, I should remember that. From 6 to 6:50, they take us to the Palm Tower, and we go to the Little Buddha Bar for a pre-Rabbit Head lighting cocktail party. 6:50, the executives walk to the pool level for the Rabbit Head lighting. 7 p.m., Hef, Girls Next Door, Christy, George flip the switch for the Playboy Head on the Fantasy Tower.
Our next partner has truly made a positive impact on the most important person in my life. No, I'm not talking about Nick. I'm talking about my cat, Terry. I think I told you guys before how I used to make Winnie's food, and part of the reason was because it just smells so bad when you buy pet food. My cat's old food would stink so bad, and I used to dread every time I had to feed them, and I definitely didn't want to get any on my hands. So I thought about making my own homemade cat food too, but now I don't have to. You've got to try Smalls. It's time to make kibble a thing of the past. Smalls cat food is protein-packed recipes made with preservative-free ingredients you'd find in your fridge, and it's delivered right to your door. That's why veterinarians.org rates Smalls a 10 out of 10 for ingredient quality. So my cats just got fed some Smalls this morning, and I would say it's hard to pick what their favorite flavor is, but I'd probably say right now it's Smooth Cow. And there's no offensive odor. And I legitimately did a taste test. I put 2 bowls side by side, and they immediately went to the Smalls. I'm so excited about Smalls because I don't have to open up those nasty cat food cans anymore. I don't have to cook my own pet food for them, and it's delivered right to my door. I mean, how much more convenient can that be?
Now is the time to make the switch to Smalls. Head to smalls.com/nextlevel and use promo code NEXTLEVEL at checkout for 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's the best offer you'll find, but you have to use our code NEXTLEVEL for 50% off your first order. One last time, that's promo code NEXTLEVEL for 50% off your first order plus free shipping.
Seven to 11, the grand opening party at the Playboy Club Casino, Moon, and Nove restaurants. 10:15, Hef, Girls Next Door, Christy Hefner, George Maloof present the first bet to be placed. 10:15, all areas open to the public. And then anytime after that, Hef and the girls and Kendra's family head up to the suite. That's a weird way to put it. On October 7th, our day starts at 10 in the morning. Holly meets 24/7 Cafe about the swimsuits. You have a meeting about the swimsuits and the bobbleheads. 12:30, Hef and the girls next door go to the Brendan Theater, and Hef to receive a star on the Brendan Theater Walk of Fame. Robin Leach will MC the event.
I miss Robin Leach.
Yeah.
He was so fun, and he was such a staple of like my early years in Vegas.
Yeah. 1 to 2 p.m., Girls Next Door to the Playboy store, Fantasy Tower to sign Girls Next Door calendars.
2:30 to 4, Hef and the girls to the pool party for interviews with Playboy Radio, and we'll interview guests. Bridget will host the party for Extra.
Don't you want to know what's so funny?
What?
So this is probably safe to say since he's no longer with us, and it's kind of an awesome story. So legend has it that Robin Leach was banned from one of the restaurants at the Venetian because at the opening, like, a bunch of girls were having sex in front of him and, like, with, like, an ice cream sundae or something.
What?
I'm gonna have to ask my source on this story for verification.
That's weird.
Hang on. Okay, I'm gonna send this guy a voice memo. He hasn't heard from me in a minute, so he's gonna be like, what the actual fuck?
So then there's just a whole bunch of interviews from 2 to 3 to 3:45, 4. 4 to 4:10, Bridget interviews Hef and George Malou for Extra. At 4:10, I give Extra a tour of the suite. Then it's like Inside Edition, E! News, CBS, blah, 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 all kinds of stuff. The Late Show with David Letterman. Oh, special note, have all our luggage out because we're leaving that night.
Yeah.
6:30, dinner at the 9. 7 to 11, the red carpet grand opening party for the Playboy Casino. 8 to 10, pre-party for celebs.
Wait, is this all still the first day?
No, we're on the second day.
Wait, I'm confused. Okay, were we there 2 nights?
No, 1 night, but 2 full days because we leave Saturday night.
I'm so sorry, but I've already lost track of where we are, and I assume the listeners have too. Can we get like a succinct recap when we're done too?
Well,
like
we're going to go through it in the episode. I'm just
but
telling
that's
you
not
for
real life. I'm curious about real life, and I've already lost track.
Well, what part?
Okay, so day 1 we arrive, we do like the tour of the suite, right? And then we eat at the cafe for some weird reason, which I can't even picture Hef eating at the cafe.
And then we do the lighting. We do the grand opening party from 7 to 11.
And then the next day, that's when you're interviewing people for Extra, and we're doing the pool party.
The Brendan Theater, which they don't show. I don't think they show that on the show. It's
That's
in the
a deleted
It's
scene,
a deleted
right?
scene, yeah.
Okay.
And then we do the
Crazy
red
Horse.
carpet grand opening again. And then we go to another party at Alizé restaurant.
And then we went to Crazy Horse.
And then, yes, it says the film crew can film it, but
They just didn't use it.
I guess. And then we go back to the Palms, and then there's a VVVIP, word of mouth invite only, special guest and celebrity party in the Sky Villa. And then we leave at 2 in the morning to go back to LA.
So the story about Robin Leach, I can confirm that story, yes. Cannot remember the name of the steakhouse, but I think, Delmonico's.
Oh. Why was he forbidden from there, though?
Robin Leach?
Yeah.
Because he got caught having sex in the restaurant.
Oh, he was having sex. I thought it was just the girls.
I'm confirming. So he legit got caught having sex in the restaurant. And there was an ice cream sundae involved.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, he's writing, and I just really need confirmation. I need to switch out my drink again. I don't know if it's this new medication, but I'm like almost shaking from like caffeine hyperness. Like either that or they put crack in the Starbucks brew this morning.
Yeah, that's not like you. You can usually drink so much. I feel like we should start from the top. I feel like we've really screwed this episode up.
I don't think we really need to start from the top. I mean, maybe I'll feel that way after I start to edit it, but I feel like it could be kind of fun. I feel like the energy's here.
Okay.
I'll make it make sense, I swear. Okay, the response to the Robin Leach story, he goes, if I remember correctly, he was watching 2 of his nieces, in quotes, meaning not really his nieces, but like Pretty Woman style, his nieces, get down in front of him, and an ice cream sundae was the medium. He was told to leave and not return, then was allowed back on property when new management came in. Legendary.
But actually having sex in a steakhouse?
I guess 2 of his nieces, aka girlfriends, were having sex in front of him, and there was an ice cream sundae somewhere involved. I love it.
All right.
Where were we?
Right at the top.
Okay, so I was just trying to figure out, we did all that talking just so I could figure out that we went to Crazy Horse and ate at the fancy restaurant at the top of one of the Palms Towers, whether it was Nove or Alizé, we don't know. But we were up there the second day that they don't include any footage of.
Yes.
So it opens with a shot. Wait, we haven't done the grotto time machine.
No.
Oh my God.
The grotto.
Okay, first of all, there's crack in the Starbucks today. I'm on one, and 2 people had sex with a sundae in between them. But Let's hop in the Grotto time machine. We are going back to November 19th, 2006, when this episode first aired. The number one country song that week was Before He Cheats by Carrie Underwood. I kind of like that song.
I like it
It's
too.
sassy.
Yeah.
The top movie was Happy Feet, which is a children's movie about penguins. My kids have discovered that on
My
streaming.
sister loves that movie.
Aw, that's so cute. So it opens with a shot of the mansion by day, and we hear some jazzy music.
Because
which
we're
is-
going to Vegas.
Yeah, and that was also kind of like Hef's theme, was like the jazzy music. But they cut to your room, and Gizzy is way up high on the shelf.
I know.
So crazy.
I don't know how she got up there. I do remember her getting up there on a few occasions. I think it was I think I was in the process of, let's see, this would have been October, so I was definitely decorating and stuff. So I think it gave her leeway to go up there.
Cats will always find a way.
The highest point possible. That's what they want.
And you're packing your pink Playboy luggage. And then I say in confessional how huge I think the opening of the Playboy Club should be, and that I want to make it huge. And I wrote in my notes, huh? And now that I've like watched the whole episode and talked to you about it, I think what this means is I had really high expectations for this weekend.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to be huge. I wanted to be involved in it in a meaningful way. And because I wasn't involved in any meaningful way, I was a little disappointed.
Yeah.
And even, later in the confessional interviews, I don't know if I thought the show, which the show would never do this, but I don't know if I thought the show would show us being disappointed that we weren't more involved, or maybe I wanted to plug that in there because I make comments through this whole episode.
Yeah, well, and you start out in commentary, you say, before we did this episode, I was worried. I didn't feel like we had enough personal involvement in this episode. I don't think we're going to get a story out of it, but it turns out we did, with Bridget doing her reporting, and Kendra did something, but I forgot what it was. And then Kendra goes, my family was there. And you go, oh yeah, that's right.
And the DVD commentary for this is great because we are having such a great time, and we're all getting along and having so much fun doing it.
Yeah. So back in my room, we're ordering food, and it shows me earlier sitting on my suitcase trying to get it zipped, and then of course it cuts to Kendra in her room with a messy suitcase, stuff all over the place.
And we're back to the trope that they love of Kendra undressing in her room. Mm-hmm. Which I kind of felt like we'd moved on from for a minute. I know we did that at the first episode of the season with Hef's birthday, but I kind of felt like we were all getting a little more careful about our nudity for a minute, but now we're back to it, and we'll be back to it later in this episode.
I think you and I are, or I think Kendra's not.
I know she will be at some point, but I guess we're not there yet.
No, because she gets undressed in this episode several times,
Yeah.
but I don't think you and I do. There's a sneak shot of you, but it's not supposed to be there. Like you're changing in a closet,
And Kendra's talking about her uncle. He used to work at the Playboy Club and in somewhere, New Jersey or something. And now he gets a job as a dealer at the Palms. And then she says she used to wear a Playboy shirt to school that her uncle had brought back from
Atlantic City.
Which is weird because he must have been hired and never worked as a dealer or worked as something else because they never got their gaming license in Atlantic City.
I remember you saying that, but that's where she said he worked, in Atlantic City.
Yeah, so maybe he did something else that wasn't a dealer. Maybe he got hired as a dealer, and then when they couldn't do that, they put him somewhere else, maybe.
Maybe, but she says that he would send her clothes to wear, or t-shirts or whatever, and it shows a picture of her as a little kid in a t-shirt with a Playboy bunny on it. But in commentary, she said they completely
Photoshopped
that on. That's not one of the things that she wore at all.
She said the story is true, but the photo is not.
Yeah.
And I was surprised, and she said that people made fun of her in school and said, you're a hoe, and she's she didn't know what Playboy was at that point in her life, didn't know that it involved nudity. But I'm surprised that a school let a kid wear that. Because I feel like I was flagged for dress code violations so many times in high school, and it would be things for wearing a Nirvana shirt or wearing a shirt that said Sonic the Hemp Hog and had Sonic the Hedgehog smoking weed or something. So I'm surprised that they would let a grade schooler wear a Playboy shirt. I'm surprised they wouldn't send you home for dress code or make you turn the shirt inside out.
Yeah, interesting. I never thought about it.
You know what's funny? I was talking to my friend the other night. And I was telling her that we're doing book reviews on our Patreon now. And she said, ooh, are you guys doing cliterature? And I said, cliterature? What? What is that? And she had to explain to me what cliterature was. I had no idea what that was, but now I'm about to find out with Dipsea. Dipsea is an app full of hundreds of short, spicy audio stories. They bring scenarios to life with immersive soundscapes and realistic characters, discover stories about second chance romances, adventurous vacation flings, and hot and heavy hookups. And there's a growing library of fantasy series with werewolves, Greek gods and goddesses, Regency-era historical fiction, and fairy smut to explore the bounds of your pleasure.
New content is released every week, so in between listening to your favorite stories again and again, you can always find something new to explore. Dipsea offers a modern approach to romance through high quality and captivating audio fiction. For listeners of the show, Dipsea's offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/nextlevel. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to dipseastories.com/nextlevel. dipseastories.com/nextlevel.
I don't feel like I remember getting in trouble for clothes I was wearing.
I got in trouble for dress code from day one. Like, it was either like my skirts were too short. I mean, this is going back to elementary school. Or I couldn't like tie, you know how back in the 80s, like in early 90s, people would always tie their t-shirts with those little plastic ties in the corner? I wasn't even showing any skin, but the teacher accused me of showing off my butt.
But
And this was like in 5th grade.
that reminds me, in like, I don't know, I think it was like 6th grade, I was doing the talent show and I did a dance routine to that song Jungle Love by The Time.
Yeah.
And I had like this like leopard print outfit and I thought it was so cool and so fun. And I thought I had like a really good dance. It probably really actually sucked, but at the time I thought it was amazing and stuff. And they denied me doing the talent show and said it was too suggestive.
Interesting. It's interesting how, like, I get it when you're, like, an adult and you're trying to be in this protective role for kids, how you would want to, like, correct those things. But I felt like when it was happening to me in grade school, it was very, like, shameful toward me and accusatory, like I was doing it on purpose. And I absolutely wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes kids are just doing stuff because they think it's cute, or I want to wear this style because everybody's doing it. But you get accused of like trying to like be a temptress or something at age 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck right off.
Right.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either. Yeah, so Kendra's trying to decide what to wear, sporty or dressy. But I feel like, is this a repeat scene, or has she just done this exact scene before? Because I felt like deja vu when I watched that scene.
It's hard to say, but I feel like she kind of like repeats similar motifs, doing like the dressing up in her room and changing clothes in her room. So it could be something similar.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
So the next scene is outside the Playboy Mansion. Zooms in. We're all in the dining room, and Hef asks, "Are you ready for Vegas?" And you say, "Honey, I have a master plan."
And he goes, "I know you do," or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't remember what my master plan was until you reminded me from commentary that I say, because Playboy, or the Palms, was opening a club in the same tower as the Playboy Club called Moon. And me and a bunch of playmates thought it would be so funny on opening night to take a picture mooning the camera, like mooning at Moon. Because I always felt like there wasn't as much funny nudity at the mansion as I thought there would be. And when I say funny nudity, I mean like that footage of like when they show like Hef's birthday Olympics, like the naked woman running with the torch.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Or there was that one time where me and a bunch of girls who had just got out of the grotto like streaked through the movie room.
Yeah.
As like the lights were coming up and stuff. Like I always thought there wasn't like enough funny nudity, and I always like thought shit like that was funny and like appreciated it, but like Hef never wanted me doing any of it, and he told me I couldn't moon and that was trashy, and I said no, I think it's funny, and he goes, "It's funny if somebody else does it, it's not funny if you do it."
Did he say something about cheap girls do that?
Yeah, only cheap girls do that. And it's just, what?
Keith arrives and he asks Hef, "Oh, are you going to?" Which I thought was funny. And they hug. We take all our photos in the Great Hall, and then you say, "I think Hef is really excited about the Playboy Club opening back up because now it's in its proper place, Las Vegas, where people go for fantasy and escape, and I'm just really excited that Hef gets to see his clubs come back and gets to see the dream realized again. I want to make a celebration out of it."
Yeah, when I say I want to make a celebration out of it, I can tell it's like a symbolic of like my expectations are not really being met, you know? And I put in my notes, what did I mean? Was I trying to get us to stay in town longer? But I just think it's because I didn't feel involved in any meaningful way.
Yeah. It shows us in the limo. We're arriving at the airport, getting on the private jet, posing for pictures on the steps, all that good stuff.
Should we say who we're going with? Because when I see us lined up in the Great Hall, it kind of gets me excited. Like, it just looks like a fun group.
Yeah.
We are going with Amanda Page, who was a Playmate. I believe she was living at the Playmate house at the time. Crystal Camden, Kara Monaco, and Keith and his date. And that's just like a fun group, I think.
Yeah.
And there would be a ton more Playmates there who were hired to work the event. Staying at the Palms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it shows me on the jet with a drink and a straw in front of my mouth. And the straw is clearly not in my mouth, but they put like slurping noises over me.
Oh, of course.
I know. It's so weird.
And then we get this scene, which becomes a thing with Kendra being afraid of flying.
Oh, it's been a thing.
But I feel like it becomes more of a thing.
On the show, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Well, Alaska, it happens. But the weird thing about, so Kendra had like this fear of flying. And ever since our first private plane trip together, she would make this big show about being afraid to fly, which, okay, maybe she was, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I felt uncomfortable when this would happen. And this is on me. I'm not trying to criticize her, but I felt uncomfortable when this would happen because I didn't know how to react to the situation. And I felt like nobody really knew how to react to it because it came off. I'm not saying she wasn't afraid to fly, but it came off very exaggerated and insincere. And like, I think it's pretty safe to say I knew she wasn't joking, but it's almost like when somebody's being so over the top, you're like, are they trying to punk me? Or like, how am I supposed to react to this? So it was strange. And you can see in this footage, I'm just staring straight ahead. I'm completely zoning out. Like, I don't want to be there because this performance makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should be reacting in some sort of way. And in any other ordinary circumstances, you'd want to kind of try to be consoling of the person. But I don't think that's what she wants, really.
No.
It was really, 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 really awkward.
Well, and I'm sitting right next to her and I'm just ignoring.
Because we didn't know what to do. And I think the guys didn't even know what to do.
Nobody really responded.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it did seem more like an act than it did something real. Not that she wasn't afraid to fly, but it did seem exaggerated.
Yeah.
So I think we all just went along with it as it's for the cameras or something.
In my notes, I'm like looking at this episode and I'm like, I can tell I'm not happy in this episode. I wonder what's up. I look like I'm ready to cry or just got done crying in one of the confessionals. And I don't know if it's, maybe Hef saying that I'm not funny or that only cheap girls would like Moon or something, or not having anything really to do that weekend. I don't know if that was all of it, but clearly I'm in some kind of mood.
Yeah. So we arrive in Vegas. We get in another limo, an interview. I say Hef was excited. You could tell he was peeking out all the windows, and it was just really exciting. They show B-roll of Vegas. We arrive at the Palms. We see the bunny on the side of the building for the first time. So that's exciting. And then they show the marquee, and I thought it was interesting because it says, "Welcome Hef and Christy Hefner. Playboy Club opens tonight, doors at 11. But we're not on the marquee yet.
When would we finally get on the marquee?
I'm not sure, but not yet.
Yeah, we're still not on the marquee. We're not a draw yet. Season 2 of Girls
But
Next
we
Door.
are a draw because we're going to get to it.
But
We are a draw.
not according to them.
Yeah. We pull up to the Palms and it says The Legend Reborn because that's the theme of the Playboy Club opening. And the limo's arriving. There's a ton of people standing out front. And Kendra's like, where's my mom at? So her mom and grandma are there, which is totally fine. Like her uncle's working in the club and stuff. But I think it's weird how much they are in this episode because it's a very Vegas, let's party kind of episode. But I feel like Kendra and her mom being there kind of bring that vibe down and make it sort of weird. Or is that just me feeling that way?
No, I think that's a part of it. I think there's a lot of weird vibe off things about that episode. That's definitely one of them. I think the show definitely loved Kendra's family, and I think we had so little to do there that the fact that Kendra's uncle was there was one of the only things, you know what I mean? And you're right, there's just so many things that are odd.
So we arrive, George Maloof greets us, and we go straight up to the suite to go see it.
Couple things I noticed. One is there is a framed centerfold right when you walk in, and it's a horizontal centerfold. She's laying down on like a blue backdrop with like a back scratcher in her hand. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. That's a centerfold named Paige Young from the 60s. I remember she was one of the Playmate jigsaw puzzles I put together and framed at the house. But now that I know more about her story, I think it's weird that her photo was in there and Hef doesn't even seem fazed by it. Because on Secrets of Playboy, they tell her story, and she had committed suicide. And again, this is just from memory. Like, I haven't watched Secrets of Playboy in years, so forgive me if I'm getting some of this wrong. But I believe she may have been assaulted by Bill Cosby and maybe some other people, and she killed herself. And the person who found her in her room, she had made this big, like, collage on her wall of, like, all these pictures of some of the people she'd been involved in, and she wrote Hugh Hefner as the devil.
Oh, that just gave me chills all down my body.
So does it seem strange to you that that happened? I would assume Hef is aware of that. And her picture is blown up and hung in the Sky Villa, and he doesn't even think, it doesn't bother him. It doesn't register. Is that weird?
Very. Very.
And I'm not saying that in a way like she should be erased from Playboy history or something. That's not what I mean. But I feel like...
But this is kind of Playboy using her still.
Exactly. And also, like, that doesn't ring a bell with Hef, and he's not, like, bothered by that. It's almost like no matter what happens with a Playmate, there's still just that centerfold.
I had no idea about that story.
Yeah. And when I say, oh, Hef isn't bothered by that, I'm not trying to say, like, I don't want anybody to misinterpret that. I'm not trying to say, like, she did anything wrong, or because clearly she is the victim in this case.
Right.
But the whole thing is weird. It's just weird how that just gets forgotten, I think. The whole thing is weird.
And I can't imagine that any blow-ups were in there, centerfold blow-ups like that, without his permission.
Yeah, one would think.
Weird.
I mean, maybe they didn't talk to him about every photo, but I don't know. Seems strange.
It would seem like they'd need to get his permission or Playboy's permission for each blow-up that they did in there. It's art. It's framed as art. Like, it's somebody's intellectual property. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like they would need permission. And I feel like he was so hands-on about that suite.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Do you ever compare your life to other people's? It is so hard, especially on social media. It's summer. Everybody's traveling. Even if you totally are living the most purpose-driven life this summer, it's hard not to look at social media and be like, what am I doing wrong? I'm not on all these fancy vacations. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Like they say, comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together on their Instagram, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. I always say therapy has helped me so much. I've revisited therapy throughout all different phases of my life. It's been a lifesaver. And sometimes I just need that unbiased person to bounce things off of, to let me know I'm not being completely irrational about something, to help me navigate my moods and my emotions. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/nextlevel today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/nextlevel.
And then he looks at the pool, the jutting glass pool that goes over the edge. And the glass was so clean and clear that he legit thought there was no glass at the end of it.
Yeah.
He goes, what happens when you get to the end of that pool?
I said, it's a water slide.
That's so funny. And a couple other cool features that they didn't show on the tour that we do on the show is there was like a sauna in there and like a massage room and stuff.
Yeah, the elevator. I don't think they show the elevator.
Was this the trip that Mary tripped and fell? Because they would have like glass covered rivers on like the ground in the main part of the suite, and people kept tripping over the glass.
Well, they weren't glass covered. It was like just open water, like a little mini pool inside there. There was glass you could put over it when you were having a party, but during the regular times, it was open.
Oh.
And she fell in it. Like halfway. A lot of people did.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And then we go into like the living room area, which is like a big couch. We're talking about we could watch movies in here. And then Hef does this funny thing where he turns to me and says, I'm getting very sentimental because there's a black version of that chair, which is a funny joke that throws back to the baby shower episode.
Yes.
And I think it's funny that he jokes on that.
Well, I don't think he was joking.
No, he was joking with me though because he knows I roll my eyes at it. And I think it also shows that he's in on that humor. Like when we joke on anything like marriage or family or, oh, you're only sentimental because it's that chair. Like he's in on those jokes. You know
But
what
then
I mean?
he goes on to like tell
That's
George
another
all
thing
about
that I
the
think is so
chair.
funny is he's joking with me about it, but then he does an immediate switch and gets serious about it and shows George, you know, that chair. And I hear you go, oh, here we go again.
Yes, I do. I'm like, oh.
So funny.
I'm really tired of hearing about that chair.
I know. And then we go into the master bedroom. They have a round rotating bed in one of the bedrooms. And we all get on the bed and pose for a photo. And it's just funny to watch this scene and how quickly we fall into position for the photo.
I
Did
was
you
thinking
notice
that too. We just like boom, right
Yeah.
into place.
It's
Right
like
into
snap,
place.
and we all three know exactly where to go so that nobody's blocked and everybody's perfect.
Yes.
It's so funny to watch.
It really is. Then it cuts to Patty and Mary coming up the stairs.
Should we talk about the weird downer energy in this whole scene and just how odd it was?
Yes.
Okay, so it was a weird mix of people. Like, you wouldn't think it would be because you have the cast of a show. But it was like, okay, so you have me, who's my spectrum personality, very flat. And then you have Kendra's mom and grandma and Hef, which is like old person vibe. And was Mary there too?
She's floating around. I don't know how much
Yeah.
in the scene she is.
And it's just like an odd, weird energy.
I feel like the tour is way too long for the show.
Yeah.
I get that they're trying to show off the suite, but I feel like it could have been done in a more MTV fashion, like kind of way.
Yes.
This was a bad way to do it, way too long. I feel like it's a boring tour. I feel like the energy is so low.
Even when we get together to like cheers and stuff, it just feels weird and stilted and off for some reason.
I felt it too, and I don't recall necessarily feeling it at the time. Like I said, I think at the top of this, like I look back on this episode and I thought, oh, this will be a fun one, Vegas again, yay, and this was a good time and everything. But watching this episode, and especially this part, I was just like, this is like draining.
I remember kind of feeling like that day. I think partway because I was disappointed that I wasn't more involved on the weekend, didn't have anything to do. But I feel like the way that suite is set up, the feng shui is off. Like I remember going up to like my corner where my closet was at the room I was in and feeling separated from everybody. Just like the flow is really off. And it's very, like we've talked about this before, some of those sky villas, especially the Hugh Hefner one, felt very cold.
Yes.
Because it's just a lot of like terrazzo or glass and stuff like that.
Glass and marble and water, and it does feel like steel, and it just feels cold. And
Have you seen what they've done with it since?
somebody just sent me a video today.
It's really pretty.
Is it the butterfly one?
Yeah.
I don't love it.
You don't?
No.
I feel they redid a lot of those suites in there and they picked like such pretty marble.
I'm not saying there isn't pretty features, but I was like,
Do you not think it's an improvement?
no, not necessarily.
Really? Oh, I feel like it's a vast improvement.
I think
like
some of the
night and
layout
day.
is better. Like I like that there's a pool table and stuff like that in there, but I don't love like the whole butterfly motif, and I
You
don't.
don't?
I don't love like exactly. I don't like what they chose. Really, I would have done something totally different in there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not into it. Not into it.
Where were we?
Okay.
So weird downer
So-
energy for the room tour.
Weird downer energy, and then Patty and Mary join in, and I feel like that just makes it even more off and weird.
Yeah.
And
the
I'm not
same-
sure why they need to join on this. I understand that they're there, and they're there for maybe
Kendra's uncle or whatever, but like joining us is another story.
Yeah, the vibe feels off. Like, I feel like usually when Patty and Mary show up at the mansion, it's like cute mother-in-law vibes and Mary's funny. Like, it has that feel. But there's not that feel in this scene for some reason. It just feels like extra.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And don't get me wrong, like I loved Kendra's grandma. And I saw it's no hate on her.
Yeah, like this is nothing personal. It's just, I mean, I'm putting myself in this category too. Like, my personality is not adding shit to the mix, but we were missing something. It was off.
I think it's off too. And I think that the energy is so low that even Kendra's trying really hard,
I know, bless her heart. She's like really trying to fill the space, but it's not hitting for some reason.
It's not. And I can't imagine that I wasn't trying too. I don't feel like they show it.
This was a vortex of suck.
Yeah, and I just feel like even, and we'll get to it in a minute, but even the playmates that are there are low energy. Mm-hmm. There's nobody that's really, really pulling it out.
Yeah.
Even though Kendra's trying. Mm-hmm. And she's trying hard.
Yeah, it's so strange. So then we go tour the Playboy Club.
Oh, wait, there's one funny.
Oh, yeah, go.
So there is one funny where Hef walks into the bathroom and he says, Anna Nicole's going to be watching me take a piss. But here's a funny thing. In the televised episode of this, they bleep that out, what he says. And my sister full on thought he said, Anna Nicole's going to be watching me take a shit.
That is so funny because I don't think Hef has ever said take a shit in his life.
Well, we're talking about this in commentary, and my sister's in the other room laughing and confirming it, and then you say exactly that. Hef's never said take a shit in his life unless he's referring to a dog or something.
Yeah, like he would say that about a dog for sure, but like not a human.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So then we go tour the Playboy Club. And I have a gripe about this too. And it's not really anyone's fault because who could have predicted. But I felt like the Playboy Club was really beautiful with a lot of detail, but designed to look good in the dark. And you would have needed to really do it justice on TV. You would have needed like an architectural lighting person to come in and light the place in a special way for it to translate on camera. Because I feel like what I'm seeing on camera isn't what I remember.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way it's lit at night is very special, and it makes everything sparkle, and you don't see that sparkle really during the day.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to see it. Also, Kendra says that she put a hole in the couch with her heel.
Oh, no. Damage right off the bat.
Yeah.
But if it happens with her, it's going to happen with anybody in that club who comes in there. And
yeah.
So that wasn't a good material, I guess.
Well, I don't know how much the Playboy Club was the type of club that you would, like, get up on the couches and...
I did.
At the Playboy Club itself?
Yeah. I mean, I think they wanted it to be that way. I think any club like kind of wants to be.
You know what?
club.
I feel like, was it the last episode? Or when were we talking about it and you asked me if I spent much time at the Playboy Club after this? And I wasn't even thinking about it being the Playboy Club itself. When you asked me that, I was just thinking the Palms in general. And I was like, oh, yeah, I was there a lot. Like, there's always appearances. There's always this, that, blah, blah, blah. But the Playboy Club itself, I don't know if I even went back in there again.
Really interesting.
Wait, okay, so I think I was in there for a Playmate of the Year party. I think one of them was in there. Maybe. Part of me thinks it was in Moon, though, and not the Playboy Club.
Yeah.
But, so it's possible I went in there, but not really.
Interesting.
Not that I recall, anyway.
Yeah.
Very little.
I only went like a handful of times, but there were a few times. So my favorite part of the Playboy Club was the bathrooms.
Yeah, I was curious about the bathrooms because the doors have the Playmates on it. I was curious if they paid them for that, if they...
Yeah, they did an extra shoot for it. I asked Audra about it because she was one of the doors. The door you see on the show is Irina, and then Audra was one. And we couldn't figure out between the two of us who the other person was, but I'm like... There had to have been a brunette in the mix.
Oh.
But if anybody knows out there, and if you're on our Patreon or YouTube or anywhere, you can leave a comment. Let us know who the other girl on the bathroom door was.
Yeah.
But I loved the walls they did that were all covered with Playboy pictures. And when we did Jessica Burciaga's centerfold, I designed her backdrop to look like the Playboy Club bathroom. And then the next scene is Kendra goes down to talk to her uncle, who's at a blackjack table. And I really like his personality.
Did you feel like in this scene, before they go down there, that her mom and grandma are like really kind of bugging her to get down there and she's hesitant to do it? Like she kind of doesn't want to?
I didn't notice.
That's the vibe I felt. I could be wrong, but I kind of felt that coming from her. Like maybe our schedule was too busy and it was short on time and she knew she had to be up and changed for like the next event or whatever. But I almost felt like she was like a little bit annoyed that and her mom and grandma were really bugging her to go down there and see him.
That could be. I'm glad they did it, though, just because we have so little to do in this show. And I think he has a funny personality.
He's funny, all right.
And then they show us heading out to the pool. And this was really on day 2, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
And I'm carrying the bunny bobblehead with me. And the reason I was doing that is I was taking photos, and my memory was refreshed on this because I found a bunch of photos in my archive. I was taking photos of the bunny bobblehead like in the suite and at the pool. And I think that was for like .com or something. So silly. But I was on a mission to do that.
Well, it might have been when, remember that like paper doll thing was going everywhere? Or what was it? Like, do you know what I'm
The
talking
thing that
about?
like school kids would do, or like the Paper Sam or whatever he was called.
Something like that, yeah. But I
think
feel
that
like
was
more
kind
than
of the-
kids were doing it. Like,
Yeah, I think that was kind of the vibe, and I was, or like the Travelocity gnome, you'll see like pictures of him everywhere. I think that was kind of the vibe, and I was doing it for like .com as like a promo or something. I'm not sure if we even ever used the photos, but I was on my licensing grind that trip. Like you said, like I had a random meeting planned about like a swimsuit line that never happened.
yeah.
So I say in confessional, I really wanted to have a pool party and invite all the playmates, which were out there with playmates, but the energy, again, it's downer energy. And you pointed out that in commentary, we talk about how we were taken to kind of like this platform area that was like away from the pools, and we wanted to go to the glass bottom pool. And
They
then
did not want us to go there.
which is weird. And then Hef didn't even like where we were, and he said, no, let's go to the glass bottom pool. But even once you're up on the glass bottom pool, I remember that day feeling like vaguely hazy and downer energy. And I remember Kendra being really antsy and kind of wanting to do something else or not be stuck up there. And I remember even the playmates were kind of like not in the greatest mood, and everybody was a little bit grumbly.
Like, what in the hell was going on? Like, this should have been amazing party time. Like, there's even a scene, like, we go back up to the room coming up next, and I go to do the extra thing, and Kendra says in commentary that she was up there taking a nap.
I think the energy was just so off on this trip, and it's a mystery.
Yeah, so they wanted us on this balcony where people could gawk and see us from afar.
But like we had nowhere to go. Like there was no water for us. Like we were just kind of like there on display, and it wasn't like the place to be really.
Yeah. So, yeah, Kendra's again trying to get the party started. That Marilyn Cole, a playmate from 1973, comes up and starts doing, she's with GQ of London. She's doing an interview with them. She talks about how she was married to Victor Lowndes, but I don't think anybody knows who that is.
Oh, I can brief you.
Yes.
So Victor Lowndes was Hef's head of promotion from back in the day, like I want to say late 50s. And he was really great at his job. He was the one that was connected with a lot of the celebrities and brought the celebrities to the Playboy Club in London. I think Hef told me that he was the one who came up with the idea for the bunny costume, but I read Victor Lowndes' book, and he actually says the woman he was dating at the time came up with it. Like they were all kind of sitting around talking about it. And she came up with the idea for the bunny costume. And I mean, I'm sure he's done a million other interesting things too. But he was in London. He ended up marrying Marilyn Cole, who was Playmate of the Year in the early 70s. And I really like Marilyn. I met her for the first time. It was during the Mean Girls era. And she wanted to interview me for some magazine. And we really like connected over that interview. And I just think she's interesting. She's one of those go-getter people that just doesn't stop doing things, you know? And poor Marilyn sits down on this chaise lounge, this sun chair, and almost bites it.
Yeah.
And Rob Hilberger from PR has to, like, swoop in and catch her.
Yeah.
But Victor Lowndes' book, anyway, like, I was kind of disappointed in it because I really wanted to hear more about his love story with Marilyn. And he, like, barely mentions her. He's like, oh, yeah, I think I might have found the one. Maybe the relationship at the time he was writing the book was still new enough that he didn't feel comfortable going into it. I don't know, but... Yeah.
So we see the interview.
It's interesting to watch Hef do press first with Marilyn Cole, who was somebody he dated before she was with Victor Lowndes and has known forever. And then he does an interview with you, a current girlfriend, and he's just doing his press like he always does it. There's no conversational, like, he's not talking to somebody he knows anymore. He's very much on his press game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so interesting. And I think it's indicative of a different time, first of all. Like, I think now we're in the podcast era and everybody's more conversational in general. And you had to be more careful back in the day when stuff you said was just going to get translated to print. But it's interesting to watch. And I noticed it first in the interview with Marilyn and then with you. Like, there's no even, especially since yours was on TV, like there could have been a little banter and a little jokey joke.
Yeah.
But it was very straightforward.
Well, I appreciated it because I felt like he wasn't going to take me seriously.
That's good.
And he totally did.
Yeah.
So I was happy for that. On a fun note, we do talk about how cool the yards were. Their yards are the big, tall drinks. You guys probably all know about them by now. But they were a woman's body.
Yeah.
And then the navel had like a stone in it, like a rhinestone. So at least that was fun. Mm-hmm. Next scene, it's focuses on the Hugh Hefner Sky Villa sign, and I say I'm super excited because Extra called and asked me to be their correspondent in Las Vegas. I say, and this is my first time interviewing anybody, and it's going to be Hugh Hefner and George Maloof.
And the sound guy has the enviable task of miking your bikini top.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Anyway, I felt really nervous about the interview, but I felt like they took me very professionally, and I was really happy with the way it went. I thought it went well, and Kevin didn't show me messing up for once.
Thank God.
I know.
Damn.
Oh, I was going to say, too, that I wouldn't have normally have done it in this outfit, like a bikini and stuff like that. I wasn't... Well, originally, I would have done it in the bikini. Let me take that back. Let me clarify this. I was supposed to do the interview by the pool. And then they changed their mind and they were going to be inside, but we didn't know that until much later, and everything was running behind and it was just off schedule. So I got up there and they're like, oh, quick, miking me. And I was like, oh, well, if we're going to do it in the suite, I would have changed into like a dress or something, especially since I'm going to be walking around and giving a tour. I guess I'll do it in the bunny bikini, which was fine, but it wasn't like I wouldn't have chosen to do it that way.
Yeah.
I feel like it looks kind of funny.
Well, at least you have a fun bikini. I feel like even my bikini choice was boring for this episode. It was just like a cheapo black bikini. Like, I don't know what I was thinking.
Weird.
It's really strange.
It's really strange because you're very much like super into the outfits and stuff like that. And I think it's very weird. Mm-hmm. It's funny, too, because at the end of the interview, I shake their hands, and Hef kind of looks at me weird, like I'm shaking his hand, so then I lean over and give him a kiss.
That's hilarious.
But I was just going to end it shaking their hands and act all professional about it. And I do say in commentary that I wish they had shown some of the other questions, because I felt like some of the other questions were better, and I felt like it sort of looked like I was leaving George out, and that I was only asking the fluffy questions, but I guess maybe that's their way of making it kind of look like I messed up, because I didn't mess up, so they had to make it look like maybe I asked boring questions or fluffy questions or something. And what I thought was cool in this, too, is that in commentary, even Kendra says, that must have been so cool for you to hold the extra microphone in your hand. That would be like me holding an ESPN mic. And I felt like, wow, she's like supporting me.
Yeah.
She gets it. Like, she totally understands. I feel like normally she'd be like, okay, that's boring. Who cares? And stuff.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden she's like, gets it.
Yeah, we're very much on the same page in this commentary. Like, we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was just really surprised that she knew how much it meant to me, because I feel like she just doesn't usually put enough thought or care into things like that, doesn't give a shit or think about it. Like, she could have come running down streaking and been like, let's get this party fucking started while I was doing the interview and not cared, because that's things she would have done in the past, you know, but she's like really like, you know, kind of empathizing with like how much this meant to me. And she was also talking about how she was really surprised at how professionally Hef took me, and she thought he was going to play it funny.
Yeah.
And that he didn't. And she thought that was really cool of him. I just think I think it's good to point out, because it's a rare time where we're all kind of in agreement and like there for each other.
Yeah, and we should point out the good stuff too, I think, because I think when we point out the stuff we don't like or the negative stuff, that sticks so much harder than anytime we talk about positive stuff. Like, I just notice, like, that's what human nature is. You absorb that information more. So I think it's important to point out too.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple of deleted scenes that happen on the same day. One of them is the tour of the Moonlight nightclub. And I think Holly's mooning in Moon couldn't happen because it was still under construction. Like we said already, it had scaffolding, wires, you had to be careful everywhere you walk. But you do get a sneak preview of it, of what it's going to look like. Again, it's one of those places that look better at night.
For sure.
And with the right lighting. And they do go back and show a quick view of it, like once it's open.
In the deleted scene?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
they
that's
added
good.
in there.
Yeah.
I still don't feel like you feel the whole ambiance, or maybe it just looks dated now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like it is hard. Sometimes things just don't translate to on camera. Like I feel like even like the Midsummer Night's Dream party, like what I remember it looking like in real life and what it looks like, it looks much cheaper on camera. I'm like, what are those neon palm trees?
Yeah.
But when you're there and you're surrounded by the fairy twinkle lights and everything and the lighting and stuff like that, like having something lit for real life and having it translate to photo. And it translated to photo great, but like translating it to film is like a whole other monster.
It really is.
It's like when I'm looking in the mirror thinking I look lit and then I take a selfie and I'm like, wait, what the fuck happened?
And then they show us how the whole ceiling opens on Moon Night. Like the whole ceiling opens up and the floors light up and there's special VIP area and there's dance areas with the poles. And Kendra's mom and grandma follow us on this part of the tour too, which, and then it reminded me, after we left the mansion, I was in talks to do like a performance at Moon, like a regular scheduled performance, like a trapeze thing.
Oh, fun.
And I was going to come in from the ceiling. Like when the ceiling opened up, I was going to come down.
That would be
from
cool.
that.
I was going to ask you too, I don't know if this happened or was supposed to happen or was just a rumor, but wasn't Mr. In the News these days, P. Diddy, supposed to like come in via helicopter from the opening? Like drop in from a helicopter?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if that happened or if it was supposed to happen or if it was just a rumor.
I don't know, but Ray Pierce, he was my trapeze guy, like my instructor, and he also did all the rigging and stuff like that. He went up on the rooftop. There's like a doorway you go up, and he said he's used to being in super high places. He said it's scary as fuck up there.
Whoa.
Like crazy scary.
Damn.
And he said we're going to have to get you in the harness and like tethered before you even go up there.
Whoa.
Like that's scary.
That's scary.
But it would have been so fun.
Yeah.
It would have been so fun to come down from that rooftop. And then the second deleted scene is called Starstruck, and this is where Hef is getting his star on the Brendan Theater Walk of Fame. This is at the Palms.
I wonder if those stars are still there.
I wondered that
the Brendan
too.
Theater is still there.
I think they're still there.
I wonder how like funny and dated those stars look because you know they're all from the early 2000s only. I
Well-
should make a field trip, but I almost like don't want to be spotted. Like I don't want somebody to notice it's me like looking for my star.
Yeah,
that
because-
feels so blowhard.
Because that's what I was going to say, you guys. This episode, Hef is getting a star, but later they bring us back and we get a star.
Yeah,
On the Palms Walk of Fame. And so we have a star there.
yeah.
Is that on the show?
Good question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's on the show
'Cause
or
I don't
not.
even remember like what Vegas trip was that? Was it like Hef's birthday? Because I think that's when we were coming back to Vegas after the opening was like Hef's birthday because he stopped doing his party at the mansion.
Yeah, and we talk about that in commentary. We say the next time we're going back is not till Hef's birthday. And Kendra was like, that's so long. And you're like, that'll be here in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
So anyway, Hef gets his star. Like we said earlier, Robin Leach does the presentation. Hef talks about what an honor and acknowledgement that it is. Actually, I talk about that. I say it's an honor and such an acknowledgement. And we all take photos with his star. And then, yeah, later we end up getting one as well. So those are the deleted scenes that happened that day.
Yeah. So next week we will talk about the rest of the episode. We'll also talk about what happened like the next day that they didn't film or at least didn't show. And all the good things wrapping up season 2.
It's a bummer that they don't show the next day because of your gown.
I know. It really went to waste.
You'll have to put pictures on the Patreon.
Oh, totally.
All right.
So if you want more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel. If you want some merch, check out our merch at girlsnextlevel.shop. And we will see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye. For more content, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/girlsnextlevel.